No more bickering, no more partisanship, no more criticism or finger pointing. There'll be plenty of time for that. But we all need to hit the reset button and lean into moving forward. The health and safety of the American people is our top priority. More stories on how people can protect themselves, more people on how people can get the resources that they need that we've unleashed from the federal government and state and local governments. Less stories looking at what happened in the past. Again, there'll be time for that.
Has he met Donald Trump? Welcome back to AM Joy. During the White House coronavirus briefing on Saturday, the Surgeon General took time out of what was supposed to be a White House briefing to essentially tell the media to be nice to Donald Trump. It was an extraordinary use of his time as the Surgeon General. And he was not alone. Dr. Ben Carson, who is both a neurosurgeon and for some reason the head of the Department of Housing, used his time on the microphone to tout a National Day of Prayer. Meanwhile, on Fox News, the word of the day is pivot, since apparently the dear leader has finally realized coronavirus is an actual threat. With nearly 3,000 cases in the U.S. and more than 10,000 globally, 100,000 globally. And the crisis has hit close to home for Republicans. Multiple people who attended the Conservative Political Action Conference in Maryland have gone on voluntary quarantine after at least one attendee tested positive. Several people who attended a lavish party with Donald Trump and the president of Brazil at Mar-a-Lago are also being affected after several members of the Brazilian delegation tested positive. Miami Mayor Francis Suarez has confirmed that he tested positive for coronavirus. And RNC spokeswoman Ronna McDaniel is in self-quarantine while she awaits test results. In fact, Trump's Mar-a-Lago paradise has become what the Daily Beast calls a coronavirus petri dish and what the New York Times calls a hot zone. And this mask joke by Florida Republican Matt Gaetz has absolutely stopped being funny, even to those on the right. So, not the Democratic hoax that Trump for weeks made it out to be. And just to keep it from falling into the memory hole, let's recall that just days before the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 to be a full-blown pandemic, Trump and his fiercest Fox allies consistently downplayed the seriousness of the virus, even accusing Democrats of exaggerating the threat as part of some elaborate scheme to take Trump down.
Tonight, I can report the sky is absolutely falling. We are all doomed. The end is near. The apocalypse is imminent, and you're going to all die, all of you, in the next 48 hours. And it's all President Trump's fault. Or at least that's what the media mob and the Democratic Extreme Radical Socialist Party would like you to think.
The chorus of hate being leveled at the president is nearing a crescendo as Democrats blame him and only him for a virus that originated halfway around the world. I see. This is impeachment all over again.
Now, they say the mortality rate for coronavirus is higher than the flu. But consider, though, that we have a flu vaccine, and yet in 2019, 16,000 Americans died from the flu. Imagine if we did not have the flu vaccine, the flu would be a pandemic.
And pivot! Some Fox hosts have now softened their tone.
Look, bad things happen, and this virus is one of them. But setting off panic around the world is not the answer.
Make no mistakes. In serious situations, truth matters. Facts matter. And unfortunately, there's been way too much politicizing of this, too much, untruths being told, and even some weaponizing what is a global pandemic.
The Chinese coronavirus is a major event. It will affect your life. And by the way, it's definitely not just the flu.
Okay, and get this, according to the New York Times, Tucker Carlson even privately urged Trump at Mar-a-Lago to take the threat of coronavirus more seriously, according to one person with knowledge of the conversation. So at least he has expert guidance. Coronavirus can be more severe and even more deadly for those ages 65 and above and for people with underlying conditions. And on the age side, it means that the downplay of the virus threat is not just irresponsible, it's outright dangerous, particularly for the older, mainly Republican Fox News viewers who new polling by NBC and the Wall Street Journal show are less likely to believe that coronavirus is a serious threat, thanks to their favorite president. Joining me now. Yeah, and Eric, so Fox News reportedly benched now Trish Regan, who was the lady with the, for those of you who don't watch Fox, with the very large blonde hair, who was, being very serious about saying that, it's just an attack on Donald Trump and it's a new impeachment. So they benched her show. According to the Washington Post, Rupert Murdoch Well, there's an op-ed in the Washington Post that says Rupert Murdoch can actually save lives by forcing Fox News to tell the truth about the coronavirus right now. And this is just a piece of it. It says, and so let's acknowledge the obvious. There is no more important player in influencing Trump than Fox News, and no more powerful figure at Fox than its patriarch. Murdoch might consider, too, that with the median age of Fox viewers around 65, they're among the most vulnerable to the virus's threats. You know, as a media analyst for a very long time, do you see any possibility that Fox may want to try to save its own viewers by forcing this narrative to change? Because it's true, if they change their narrative, it's not true if they follow Trump or Trump follows them, but they will act together.
Right. Anyone waiting for Rupert Murdoch to do the honorable thing is going to wait a very, very long time after someone who's watched him for 20 years. Look, Fox News has been getting people killed for years. I mean, just look at their crusade against affordable health care, their crusade against expanding Medicaid. This is not unusual for them. It's far more dire. I mean, I've been watching and documenting Fox News for 15 years. I mean, they are a cancer on this country. There's no question about it. So who knows what they're going to do? You know, their programming is to vilify, stir hatred and paranoia. And if they're going to, you know, if it's a pandemic is the backdrop, then they're going to do it. You know, one thing I think people, you know, maybe people don't understand. You know, they think, well, Fox News is just a conservative news organization and it's not that dangerous. And, you know, maybe that's what it was when it started 20 years ago. It has clearly morphed into something far more sinister and dangerous. And it's brainwashing. You know, I've written about Fox News and brainwashing an entire older generation. And people say, well, you know, you shouldn't use that rhetoric. That's such an exaggeration. This is textbook brainwashing. So the problem is when people watch Fox News, the hardcore viewers, they don't watch it with an a la carte menu. They don't pick and choose which topics they think they believe or maybe, you know, they're not going to believe. They're all in. They believe everything. And so even during a pandemic, and people look at it and say, well, why would you believe misinformation about a pandemic? They believe misinformation about everything. And that's the danger of Fox News.